All right, guys. Uh, Welcome to the newest episode of NFL 101. Today we are going to be talking about some stuff. Um, anyway, uh, let me do the transition. Intro transition noises here. Beep boop. All right. Then that one more transition, guys. Hold on. Intro transition noises here. All right. Well, before we get into too much more into the video, if you haven't seen the newest episode of the podcast, we explained there that we are not doing live streams anymore for any of our videos. Go watch that if you all wanna get more details on that, as well as the Patreon. So it should be in the description this time if I remember to put it in, or if whoever remembers to put it in. But you also get some details on the Patreon in that video. So go look at that and partake. Partake. That sounded really official. And do that anyway. Anyway, so go see that. Anyway, this is episode 7 of the NFL 101. Today we're getting back. The last couple episodes we took a break from player requirement, and this should be the last video of player acquiring a player and retaining them on your NFL roster. Or should you be an owner? Let me pull up my notes. So, if you remember a couple weeks back, I talked about this a little bit. So here's a little bit more detail on these. A little bit more detail on this particular subject. There are two types of players that you can re-sign. There are your free agent players, restricted and unrestricted, as I explained in the free agency episode. Go back and watch that if you missed it. And then there are contract players that are still under contract. So, again, it seems like we have Gatorade in every one of our videos. Again, if you wish to know more about free agency, go look at our free agent episode of NFL 101. Which episode is that? So I can give you. Let me look it up for you guys real quick here. Okay, so episode 3. So episode 3 is our free agency episode. You get more of the free agents there. And basically, all of free agency all free agents are in terms of player retention or re-signing players, as I've said, is that the team, if you are a team that has that's had a contract with the player, that team has first dibs on signing that player usually, whether it's restricted or not unrestricted. You usually get the first crack at re-signing the player to a new contract, whether that's during the NFL year or during the offseason prior to their contract expiring. Now, that's a brilliant segue, actually. If talking about the contract. So most of the time, when an NFL team is re-signing an NFL player, they are doing it while that player is still under contract, whether that is 1 year before, 2 years before, 3 years before. Most players get a guaranteed 4-year rookie contract. First round players that are drafted in the first round, get a 5th-year option. So, again, Gatorade in every episode. So, for players drafted in the first round, their contracts can be up to 5 years in the NFL. Their rookie contracts can be up to 5 years. And, dang it, I'm going to have to explain rookie contracts. This is going to be an infinite loop of us recording these and figuring out, oh crap, there's other stuff to record. So, contracts will be another episode, whether that's rookie contracts or, veteran contracts. And you might be able to piece together what contracts are through the episodes we've done so far. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so if you have, yeah, here we go. An NFL team can re-sign a player to a new contract, whether that's 1, 2, or 3 years before their contract expires. So usually it's two. Usually the maximum is 2 years before an NFL contract expires is when a team re-signs a player. So, for evidence, let's still go with Patrick Mahomes' contract. Patrick Mahomes was signed to a $500 million 10-year contract 2 years before his rookie contract ended. So basically what happened is the rookie contract was folded in to his new contract. So instead of it just being a 10-year contract, it's actually a 12-year contract. And the new contract doesn't hit until basically the third year of the contract. Now, another example is again the Chiefs with Chris Jones. They started contract negotiations 2 years before his contract was due. They restructured the last year of his contract he played, and then this offseason they got a new contract done with Chris Jones. Now, there are some dangers to re-signing players or waiting to re-sign players. You see this a lot nowadays. I'm gonna plug in my phone because it's on low battery. But if I need my notes, I'll pull them up again. So, the dangers of re-signing players, waiting to re-sign players. That was Nathan walking in from the backyard. I might have him. Anyway, the biggest danger for waiting to re-sign your player until the last year of their contract or whatever. The longer you wait, basically, the more expensive a player is going to be. Say you have a wide receiver that you want to sign. However, another wide receiver, equally or more talented to the wide receiver have, gets a bigger contract. Your receiver will come to you and say, "Hey, I want a contract to match theirs," and that happens with all players, not just receivers. But the longer you wait to re-sign a player, the bigger the paycheck is going to be. You see this right now with the Cowboys. They have waited to sign three of their stars: Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and what's his name? The defensive player. I think it's Michael Parsons. I knew it had a name in there somewhere. Um, so Michael Parsons has already come out and said, "Hey, I want to be the highest paid non-quarterback." CeeDee Lamb, seeing guys like Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill a couple years ago, and Devontae Adams a couple years ago, has probably gone to the Cowboys and say, "Hey, I want you to pay me X." Again, um, and then Dak is seeing quarterbacks getting these contracts like Deshaun Watson last year, like Deshaun Watson, um, Joe Burrow, and of course the one I mentioned before, Patrick Mahomes. He's seeing them get these big contracts, and he's gonna say, "Hey, I'm gonna be paid $45 million a year." So the optimal thing to do is to re-sign your player as early as possible prevent uh, to prevent you as the your team as having to pay more for his services. Now, does that eliminate that entirely? No, because that can still happen. Tyreek Hill, who I just mentioned, even though he got the contract he wanted when he was traded from the Chiefs to the Dolphins, he has just stated that he wants, after Justin Jefferson's deal, he has stated that he wants to restructure his deal. So another potential thing that could happen to the other potential danger is that players who have already signed 2 contracts will want to restructure their contracts and get more money. But on the other hand, you could have a player like Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes who say, "Hey, pay us less so you can provide us with talented receivers and talented defensive players and other talented players around us, so we can have a team and win Super Bowls," which is what Mahomes and Brady have done in their careers so far. Um, so, and again, contracts, as I stated in the video where I explained the cap, every contract you sign a player to uh, hits affects the cap. So signing one player affects how much money you can offer another player, whether that player is a rookie or whether that player is a veteran you are trying to snag from a rival team, or whether it's a player you are trying to retain. So again, the cap is kind of king in this context of you need to be able to pay your players, and people who don't understand that usually get into cap debt, and they usually have massive penalties to them, as I explained in the video on the cap. Um, Honestly, guys, that is all I have for you in this episode. Um, Sorry if you're a patron. If you're on Patreon, nothing. I will see you guys later. One last transition. Uh, Subscribe. Go to the Patreon if you feel so inclined. Have a good night, guys.